Hey guys, Jason Kane here. I want to give you guys a little, history as to the biggest mistake that I ever did in programming. Um, I've been programming CrossFit workouts for a decade. I started before I even had my own affiliate. I was programming for a bunch of people. Um, they always found that I had a knack for making really fun, tough, challenging WODs, and that's what they were. They were fun, challenging WODs. And for the most part, they worked well in terms of developing overall fitness and increasing your capacity over broad time and modal domains. Um, all the way up to 2014, I was using basically the same sort of platform in developing my athletes, and we finished second in the Open for Canada West back in 2014. At that point, I decided that we weren't strong enough, and I recruited some powerlifting specialists to help us get stronger. And they did exactly that. They made us incredibly strong. Our gym ended up having a whole whack of athletes. I think we had 9 athletes qualify in 2015 to the Powerlifting National Canadian Championships. We had multiple CrossFit athletes that became powerlifters that were squatting over 500 pounds. But in 2015, we also had our worst finish in the Open. So we had swung the pendulum too far one way versus the other. Now, in 2016, I went back to, my tried and tested type of programming with lots of WODs, lots of challenging WODs. But my WODs were either, 8 minutes long, 10 minutes long, or 20 minutes long. Not all the interval work, and not truly a fully understanding of what CrossFit is and what it isn't. And I noticed that around the world, people were putting up these monster scores in the Open. And I was like, how? What was it that we're doing wrong? Because I never assume, and I don't think you guys should ever assume out there, that because somebody's from a different country or a different city, that they should naturally be better than wherever you come from. Athletes have come from all corners of the planet. Genetically, we're not all entirely all that different, except for these weird anomalies here and there. As a rule, though, I had to really sit back and eat some humble pie and understand what CrossFit really is. And my understanding of CrossFit is that it's really an aerobic power sport. So then I was like, okay, well, what are other aerobic power sports? And I found that the top athletes that demonstrate the best aerobic power, probably 400-meter swimmers, 2K rowers, that sort of stuff. And I went to those sports and I was like, okay, so who coaches those sports and how do they coach a 400-meter swimmer? And then from there, I was able to get some really good kind of training plans and platforms for aerobic power development and how to build a weight properly. So I started instituting that about 2.5 years ago. So now my athletes for the last 2.5 years have been doing this whole new platform, and I'll go in that on a different video, if you will. But the cool part is the results that we've seen. So over the last 2 years, we've really changed the way we program and our format, and the results have been awesome. My athletes now are producing some of the best results ever at the basic level and at the high end level. And I haven't developed a games level athlete, but I think I'm working well towards it now with the right training methods and the right platform in place. To give you a couple examples, I had a girl come to me 2.5 years ago. She had a DT time of 7 minutes. She's now to 4:36. 4:36 on DT is pretty exceptional. I mean, that's pretty elite level. I had a girl who finished first in Canada West as a teenager in 2018. We've put 4 athletes forward to Team Saskatchewan for the Western Canadian Championships for weightlifting. I got my first medal at Junior Nationals for one of my athletes. She got a bronze this year. I'm going to Ottawa next week with a powerlifter, and you're like, well, wait a second, you're talking about CrossFit and you're talking about powerlifting and weightlifting. Yeah, absolutely, because the baseline, the format actually works well, and I just fine tune it for all my athletes depending on what priority sequence we do. So anyways, if you like training as much as I do in training systems and really understanding energy systems and how to develop athletes, give me a shout. I can give you more, and then stay tuned and I'll show you guys how I actually build a week at my gym and for my online clients. Talk to you soon.